Hey, Suave here. This is a love story. Bat was raised in the Hema clan on the steppe. He was a kind soul in his youth, and he was always seeking to help others with his white magic, alongside his twin brother, who had become a well-renowned warrior among their people. Bat's brother had once heard stories of the Ishgardian knights from the travelers at Reunion, and always aspired to become one of them, even if it were only a distant dream. However, after engaging in a dangerous conflict, Bat's brother wouldn't survive. Bat took up his brother's lance and swore a new oath to carry on in his brother's stead and become a Knight of Ishgard. While Aura and the Holy See had once had bad relations, and some Ishgardians still had stronger biases, Bat was able to meet with the Scions of the Seventh Dawn as they prepared for the coming onslaught of the Dragonsong War. With much to learn under the scrutinizing eye of the Dragoon Knight Estedian, Bat was eager to learn any techniques the Elezen would teach him in order to help protect Ishgard, and ultimately the realm, from Nidhogg's reign of terror. The two were able to eventually set aside their differences in favor of their common goal. Having proven himself in the final steps of faith, Bat was granted an honorary position as an Ishgardian knight. With that, Bat knew that he had finally accomplished his brother's dream, though his work wasn't over yet. As the reconstruction project was beginning in Ishgard, Bat was again eager to join the construction crews and help. His first order of official business was to travel for supplies from the nearby island of Vilbrand. 21 years before the Dragonsong War, there was once a young Kit left waiting on the docks of Limsa Lominsa, after her parents had boarded a ship and never returned. Luckily, the two Lalafell that found her didn't think twice to take her in and give her a loving home, and Sonu grew up happily and healthy with them. They taught her everything she needed to know about fishing and bartering with the local Kikirin, but even they were surprised at how well Sonu carried conversations. On her 21st birthday, her mother surprised her with the funds necessary to travel. Despite trying to keep it a secret from them, they knew how badly her curiosity burned to learn of where she came from. Only if she promised to remain under the watchful eye of a guard until she returned safely home to them. And Sonu promised, and immediately set out into the lower decks on a cool summer evening in search of a bodyguard. It's no surprise, then, that a tall Zayla dressed in Ishgardian armor caught her eye right away. In a whirlwind, she explained everything she could to him, and despite his reservations, he couldn't help but to fall for her talkative charm, and agreed to escort her while he waited for the last shipment of restoration supplies to arrive. At first, Sonu relied on the Lancer to protect her from the fiends on the road, just as much as Bat relied on her to talk their way through interviews, investigating new leads in the hopes of finding her final destination. The two of them talked about their homes, their lives, and what would come next for each of them. It was possible Sonu would need to arrange a new life with both of her families, and it was possible that Bat would return to Ishgard to help complete the restoration, maybe never needing to return to Vilbrand again. And maybe it was one too many nights by the firelight, talking about their futures, that made their hearts flutter. The search came to a sudden end in the Forgotten Springs, where Sonu learned that the ship her parents boarded those many years ago was an ocean fishing vessel lost at sea to an unexpected storm. that they had likely left her ashore for her own safety to begin with, and saved her life. And without her ever knowing it, she carried on their passions with the loving adopted family that raised her. Bat escorted Sonu back home to her mother's in the topmast, who welcomed her home with sad hearts and open arms at the news of their daughter's loss. And as Bat had discussed by the firelight many times before, it was time to leave Sonu to her life and for him to return to Korthus, now fueled with the silent desire to see her again. Sonu hurried after him before he had even reached the docks. She called to him and took his hand. A sound from the man, an acknowledgement of his attention, his quiet eagerness for her to continue speaking. He loved the sound of her voice mixed with the cool sea breeze around them. He felt lifted when he stood with her. But her silence spoke volumes between them. So he wordlessly brought her up into his arms. I always enjoyed seeing how the conflicts of the MSQ affected the regular inhabitants of the world. Maybe that's why I don't mind the filler quests everywhere you go. Don't get me wrong, I still ignore them for the most part, but I really appreciate that those NPCs were thought out and help the world feel more immersive if you just want to spend some time in an area that you enjoy. I wanted to make characters like that. I admit that I don't know every little thing about the world of Final Fantasy XIV. The amount of content in this game is massive, and there's so much to know. But I did spend quite a bit of time on the wiki and watching story videos to make sure I wasn't completely out of pocket with the lore I created for Bat and Sonu. Obviously, I'm always learning new things, and I'm willing to change or adapt their stories to that. I don't RP in the game anymore. The format just doesn't really work for me personally. So it isn't meant to impress anyone else but me. All in all, I'm really happy with them, and it gives a bit of my own lore to the meta of having an alt account. Speaking of alt accounts, as some of you may already know, I'm planning to stream Final Fantasy soon, with the introduction of an all-new character specifically intended to be the Warrior of Light. I'll be starting MSQ from the beginning and welcoming other players to join me along the way. Whether you're a sprout, mentor, crafter, or even just want to experience 14 as an onlooker. At the time of recording this vid, I'll be recovering from surgery, but stay tuned and I'll be posting my weekly streaming schedule as soon as I'm ready. I'm astonished that so many people resonated with my content already, and even if my future ones don't do nearly as well, I still want to keep making stuff for a while. So huge thank you to my latest supporters and subscribers for sticking around. You've really inspired me to keep going with this endeavor, and I'm excited to see where it goes. We even have a new passenger on board the Patreon, and Shay became a crew member. If you would like credits in the next vid and on the stream, you can support me through Ko-fi or Patreon to join us aboard this little tin can. And that's all I have for today. See ya.